Honestly, at first I was like, why would I want to go to Washington State? Thought I was going to be a professor, but I thought it would be really stupid to not come at least look, because head coaching jobs don't come up very often.
Hannah Wilsacker.
Rowing was added to this department in 1990, which was well before most of the other schools added rowing as a varsity sport. And in fact, next year we're celebrating our 30th anniversary. But the NCAA didn't make rowing an emerging sport until like 94, 95, 96. And so, you know, in a lot of ways, we were really ahead of the curve in what actually happened.
Title IX was put into place in 1972, and it said, hey, you know, if you receive federal monies, you cannot discriminate against women, and that could be, in general, discrimination for any kind of educational opportunity. So WSU, some students came forward, some athletes came forward and stated that they felt that their educational experience was not the same as men's, and that they felt that they were being discriminated against. Title IX went into effect in 1972. You know, 6-7 years later, these women still feel like they're still being discriminated against. So it ultimately ended up going to the Supreme Court. WSU was ruled in violation, and they were told that you have to offer equal opportunity.
Washington State was a critical factor in getting some Title IX laws changed. And as a result, Washington State was one of the very first universities to actually be in compliance. But it's really unique because the history of rowing on the West Coast is quite long. Like, you know, women have been rowing at Oregon State for a long time, you know, since the 60s. Cal has had a long history of women. Washington has had a long history of women's rowing. And so when rowing was established in the Pac-12, there was already a lot of traditional races and traditional rivalries that have been going on for 100 years.
Attention, rope.
I think the amount of hours that we put into the sport really shows how motivated we are. Specifically in the Pac-12, it's very difficult competition, and I know when we've rowed at NCAAs and like made it to NCAAs, some coaches will say that, you know, it's like the level below Olympic rowing. So some of the boats that end up winning NCAAs, like if they race against the US women's 8, which is the fastest 8 in the world, they would be comparable. So I guess it just makes you realize how competitive the NCAA is, and it just gets faster every year.
I'd like to think that there is a certain amount of grit involved with people who row. I think it's a characteristic of people who want to work hard. But then even within that, there's a bunch of levels of working hard. You know, like we have sent so many people to national teams, and their level of working hard is different than other people's level of working hard.